we had to get someone to go to Benin and actually get armed robbers.
Armed robbers?
Yes. Yes.
In a coup. Another side of it.
And then,
Armed robbers.
And then, the remarkable thing about it, they were the most, they were the most courageous on the night of the action. I'll tell you why. Now,
it's like a blockbuster Hollywood movie.
Then we went, we had a guy, a Bini guy who said, look, I'll get people. We went, then we got ex-servicemen.
Retired
men. Now, but during the night of the coup, to show you that you laughed earlier, the night of the coup, those who were the most successful in their actions were the armed robbers.
Nigeria is a great country, and the story of Nigeria is being written by the actions and decisions of men whose passion and patriotism for this country has left them sacrificing, working hard, laboring to see that we have the kind of nation that we all desire. There has been men who, in their course of politicking or in their course of military service or as entrepreneurs, policymakers or advocates, has given more than others, and thus their name has been in the history books of this country. As we write and explore the story of the making of this great country, we're having to sit down with each and every of these actors to tell the right story about this country, so we can actually explore where we're going, where we are coming from, with a foresight on where we are headed to. On today's edition of the Legacy series, we are sitting with one of such foremost characters in the building and shaping of Nigeria, someone who sat at the center point of history in Nigeria. He's a retired military colonel from a military parent. He grew up from across the country, including Lagos, even if he was originally from Cross River State. He's no other person than Colonel Gabriel Onyyiam. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
I hope I got that pronunciation right.
Onyyiam, yes.
All right.
The truth. Onyyiam.
Yeah. Okay. Colonel Gabriel Onyyiam.
Thank you.
It's great to be having this conversation with you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I'll just start from the very beginning. Sure. Okay. It's very rare in this country to see career military people coming from military background. I want to confirm again. Your father had a military background.
Yes, my father was a soldier who fought during the Second World War. Went to Burma.
Oh, your father went to Burma.
Burma, and he was. They were the first educated people taken into the army. He was in the same batch as N1, H.U. Bassi, Colonel Bassi.
Colonel Bassi.
Who was the first N1 in the military.
N1 in the military. He's the first Nigerian military
officer.
Is he still alive today?
No, he's passed away.
Okay.
Now, he was, the same batch had Oba Oyekon. Oyekon was also in the military. Okay. So was S.B. Bakare, the Jeshaman who became S. Bakare. They were all in the military. And then, of course, Ironsi was also part of them, that batch. So they were taken and then sent to Abalti Barracks, which is where close to Fela's former shrine in Yaba.
In Yaba.
The Abalti Barracks is still there. They were given training. Most of them were people who left primary school, but they were given secondary education in the army to earn what is called AC2, Army Certificate of Education 2.
Okay.
And all of them Ironsi. Then when the war came, they all went to the war, came. My dad was wounded in Burma. So he had to leave on disability. The Ironsi, H.U. Bassi continued.
In the military?
The military.
Okay. So after the military, I understand your family had to move from location to location before ending up in Lagos.
Indeed. My father, immediately after leaving the military, was employed because I come from very close to Cameroon.
Oh.
And the Southwest Cameroon was part of Nigeria. At that time. So he was working in what they call CDC, Cameroon Development Corporation.
Oh, but this CDC was part of Nigeria.
It was part of Nigeria, but it still existed in Cameroon.
Okay.
But then the Cameroon people, after the plebiscite,
Okay.
had to
exit
Nigeria. At that time, I was a child there too. Then my dad had to make up his mind. He was given a choice. Either he stays on in Cameroon or come to Nigeria. So he came back to Nigeria, came to Lagos, took us to the village. That is my cross-river.
Okay.
I came to Lagos. Then in 1956, we came to Lagos. And
that was when you schooled it.
I started primary school in Yaba, what is called St. Dominic now. But it used to be called St. Patrick School.
Oh, St. Patrick's.
St. Dominic Primary School.
Okay.
In Yaba, where St. Dominic Church is.
Okay.
It used to be called St. Patrick.
Okay.
But later, now it's called St. Dominic Primary School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where my
so it's
primary
different
school.
from the St. Patrick's College.
No.
Yes. Okay. So you've been very vocal about how your childhood
Sure.
gave you different perception of Nigeria, where you could learn Nigerian languages on the street.
Sure.
Everybody dwell together as one. Can we have a taste of what that your childhood looked like, and when you began to feel that all that was beginning to slip away?
Thank you. As a child in Lagos, now we live in Yaba, and Yaba was part of what is called the Federal Capital Territory.
Yaba was part of Federal Capital
Territory? Yes, Yaba.
Oh.
From the barrier from Anthony, Obanikoru, they were Western Nigeria.
Oh.
Shomolu, they were Western Nigeria.
Nigeria. So you could literally trek to Western Nigeria.
Oh, sure. In fact, so now we grew up in Lagos, and Lagos was just a happy place. No one knew. We had Ghanaians, so Ghana. You had Igbos. In fact, my friends spoke my language. The first name is Asu, my name. I'm Gabriel Anthony Asu. If I go to Ableoja now,
mm-hmm.
my friends, in fact, one of them is the Muslim head in Ableoja. Mm-hmm. They know me as Asu, and they even know my language. This is how we grew up.
Yeah.
And we're all one in Lagos. And
all unity.
There was so much unity in Lagos. And then Lagos was a great place to be. The issue is that as a child, I was so blessed. We went to school, and in school, we were even given exercise books. Everything was given to us, right from when we were young. Mm-hmm. So when later, and of course, I would later come to it, when I went to military school, where I was even paid salary as a student.
As a student, you got paid?
Yes. In the North, I was paid. I even sponsored my younger sister.
From your student salary?
Salary. And this was what was happening in the North. So, with all that I was given, and luckily for me too, in no time, from military school, went to NDA. After NDA, as I will come back to, I went abroad. All the government. So the government, Nigeria gave me so much. And it is that passion that when I was a young man, 23 in the UK, countries like Malaysia used to look up to us. The only country in the Far East that was a bit with us was Singapore. China was nowhere. Everywhere. We were Nigerians, if you go to...
there was a pride of being in Nigeria.
Oh, yeah.
You appeared superior to them.
Indeed. Nigerians had been in key universities in 18-something in the UK. So Nigerians, in the city Edinburgh I love, all the Nigerians had been there long before. Not doing jobs as they do now. In registrars in the hospitals, consultants. So I grew up with that, and I saw what Nigeria gave me. So when I came back and I saw what Nigeria is giving the young people, it was very sad for me, and it's still sad for me. Because most of us of my
a far departure from what he had experienced.
And what I'd enjoyed. You see, I'll tell you, some of us bought houses from our scholarship money in the UK. Yeah.
The scholarship was from Nigeria.
Now, I was sponsored by the military, by the government.
Like Nigerian
government. But I will take example
paid
of
from by Nigeria.
Yes, but I will take example of civilian students who were in the same university, who were on federal government scholarship. They got their scholarship. Some of them bought houses from the scholarship, 1 year salary scholarship.
Wow.
That was how good it was then. So
wow.
So what pains me is that after we've got all this, when I came back, I saw universities, people who were my friends, VCs of universities, and universities were doing settlements of students. And I couldn't believe it because we're all given a lot by this country. And then what do we get back? You know, I see one of the things I like your series, you've interviewed eminent men. General Olusegun Obasanjo, who was my boss in the military engineers, I'll come to. Now, if you look at him, he was from a very poor background. The country gave him there was no issue. In his own case, Chief M.K. Abiola told me about him. They were both very poor, and they were in the same school. But the country gave them so much. So many of us came from, my dad was a lower middle class, you may say, but the country gave us the chances. I didn't need to meet anybody to get into the military school. If you do well, the system was there.
It was on merit.
It was on merit, and everything, the churches were very powerful in helping the poor. This is why I'm shocked that you have universities by the churches now charging so much fees. You know, in our time, the schools were St. Finbar's, which was close to where I was, had Father Slattery. Once a poor child is brilliant, he goes into a school. St. Greg's, maybe King's College, which was a slightly, but there was access. When you come to the CMS Grammar School was there in Yaba, in Barega. So everything was there for any young man who wanted to grow. But then later in life, I saw it slipping away so fast.
So let me ask. You mentioned that you were in the Army Corps of Engineering.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of persons were in the infantry.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
When I had conversations with Obasanjo,
sure,
Obasanjo said when he was joining the engineering corps, people were like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Is that the place to go to? You go to where the action is. Oh, why would you go there? I mean, if it wasn't really popular."
Now, at the time when we got into I have always been interested in education. And my passion for education is still there. I'm a lifelong learner, as it were. Now, the engineer corps, I must say, General Obasanjo made a corps whereby people were given skills, and he encouraged people to join and be given skills. The thing with engineers is that you are in engineer corps, you have a second profession. We are all basically military men. When you are trained as a regular combatant officer, which I'm sure now you have that basic training. But the thing with the engineer corps, you have, apart from being an infantry in training, you have the engineer training, the military engineer training, and then you are required by the Obasanjo then to go and have a degree in any engineering or technical
field. Okay, that explains why you got a degree in quantities.
Indeed. Yeah. When I went to, the story with my life is that I think I'm a testimony of the blessing of God. Now, when I was in the Defense Academy, there was an Indian officer who made a remark which I thought was a bit racist, to a chap who later became Admiral Air Marshal Yerima. Now, this chap, I think, always slept in class. And so the Indian man said to him, because we're trained by Indians. Indians were the officers training, the Indian training team in NDA.
Oh, Nigeria's NDA?
NDA, yes.
Oh, okay.
The Indians started the training.
Oh.
Yeah, before the Indians training. So the man made a remark when he was trying to kind of wake up the child. He said, "Why are you sleeping like an animal? Why are you sleeping like an animal?" So I said, so I just I was a bit sure. I said, "Sir, you can check him, but don't make such a remark. It's sensitive to us." Then the man didn't like it that
you make
that comment. So but they couldn't punish me because they knew that if they took it up, people is too sensitive. So eventually, when I was about to leave university, and I applied to universities for admission, I wrote ABU, Nsukka, University of Lagos, because I wanted to go to the area of land surveying. That was what I was interested in. So when the universities replied and gave me admission, they wrote through university, so through NDA. So the NDA now, usually in the military, if you're going to write a letter, you have to write through your unit to the institution you're going to write. But I had written directly. So when the Indians now saw the opportunity to hold me, they now said, "Wow, yeah, we've got him now." So they were about to take me for charges and so on. Alabi Sama, who was the director military, was the one to prepare what they call the charges, which was sent to the cadet commander. Yeah. So then when they got wind of that they were going to do what, I ran to a man who was the first director general of NYSC, General Omujokun, who was my teacher in the military school. I went to him and I said, "This is my problem." He said, "All right." General Moku now spoke to Alabi Sama. In a way, I must say they use Yoruba oracles to solve my problem, problem. So after that, they then asked me what is that I want to go to university. I said, "All right," and I want to go and study. It's all right. It's all right. They will post me to. Then I want to go to engineer corps. I said, "Yes, of course." Then so Omojokun spoke with then Colonel Basanjo.
He was a colonel at the time.
Then, yes, co-commander engineers. You spoke with him, and then they ensured
What year was this?
Pardon?
What year?
1973.
Okay.
1973. So they now ensured that I was posted to engineer corps. When I got to engineer corps, knowing my antecedent of what has happened to it, Obasanjo said that I will not go anywhere. I was posted to go and serve in an engineering regiment in Aba. Said, "No, I will not go anywhere. I will stay with him in the corps headquarters in Ebudemeta. I will stay with him." He chose me and another officer from Igala, chose General Akbar. And then he said, "Look, we know he wants us to go and study abroad."
Wow.
Oh, yes. Then, not only that, he then ensured that there was that time, there was the cement amalgam, when Nigeria was importing cement. You remember when there were a lot of queues of cement?
I wasn't born.
Yeah. That was when they began the building of the Third Mainland Bridge, all these bridges. Gowon started. So they needed a lot of cement to do all those projects. And Nigeria was rich. So the cement, the import of cement was so much that the whole port was blocked.
With cement?
The ships carrying cement. So there was a task force by the government to try and offload this cement so that more can come in. And Obasanjo was given the charge, the engineer corps. So it was myself and Major General Patrick Akbar who were asked to go and decongest. So we were there for 6 months. because he didn't want us to go to our university.
Took you that long to decongest the pope?
Oh, there was quite a lot of, if Google, there was a time, it was a well-known thing. So we worked so hard. From there, he arranged, even when we applied to UK universities, even before we got our admission, he ensured we got there. And then I went to study in a Hertford University. My friend went to Trent Polytechnic in Nottingham. So it was Obasanjo who gave me the first breakthrough.
Yeah, that's great.
Sure.
That's great. All right, now beyond that, I see you have a master's in strategic
yes
studies.
Fantastic.
And then you had a whole lot of studies. And now, these many learnings,
Yes.
okay, did they contribute to your now saying the structure of Nigeria is not working out? At what point really did you now come to embrace the fact that the new structure is not going to work
Right.
for this country?
When I had this chance of being given everything, you remember I stayed about 8 years on sponsorship. I had the best training. I was seconded to the British Army.
You were working with the British Army?
Yeah, because one time, then Nigeria was kind of very close. So I was in the Scottish command of the military. And then it was there that General Carver, who was the chief of defense staff, saw me in a mess gathering, dinner, and then saw me as the only black man. He called me and then he said to me, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Nigeria." He said, "Oh." Then he then said, after we spoke, I was a lieutenant. He held my arms, took me to a professor called Professor John Erickson, and said, "Mentor this young man." Professor John Erickson was a very popular specialist on strategic studies, and he was one of the greatest scholar on Russian.
Oh, okay.
So he now started giving me teachings, and then eventually he said I need to go and do a master's. So I went to Aberdeen University to do a master's. Initially, to cross over from technology to politics or strategy, I needed to do a postgraduate diploma. And then I did that. I did very well.
Okay.
And
You did a postgraduate diploma?
Yes, in politics. And then went to do the master's in strategic studies. After that studies, I came back with all that, with the experience, came back to the country. I then was where I went to, I did a paper in Command and Staff College. Jaji.
That's Jaji.
Now, then.
Were you the director there, or you just a lecturer?
I was later that I was a student. At this point, I wrote a paper. So I thought about, then General Babangida was a man who welcomed young people with, Babangida had one thing. If he sees a talent, he goes for. So I went to give him my paper. When he saw the paper, he then ensured I get posted to the army headquarters.
Oh, okay.
And then when I got posted to the army headquarters, I'm just trying to fast.
Yes.
When I got posted to the army headquarters, I then was working with all the zeal, loved the country. Then one or two of friends of mine called me and said, Tony, look around you. Things are not as they appear. That there are layers of things. And I was a bit surprised by that comment. Then they started telling me things. One of them was Colonel Patrick Forteta, a mate of mine. And they told me things are not the way they are. And then started giving me clues. What are the clues? I started seeing that in the army if you were from an ethnic group, you were favored. The moment
it was, yeah.
Whether you were...
Tribalism had crept into the military.
Will I say tribalism? I think now I would say neo-colonialism has
Neo-colonialism.
always been there. To put it really, if you're a Fulani officer, you can't fail. Whether you were dull, because I've seen very dull ones, but they elevate them more than any other person. It got to a point where a Fulani captain, because I was working in the army quarters with Babangida, I worked with Abacha. If a Fulani officer comes into the army quarters, he goes to see the chief of army staff, he'll be put not in a waiting room. He would go straight to the military attache's office and wait there, while a southern officer or middle belt would be in the waiting room waiting for hours. The likes of General Balogun, I saw. The likes of Ikperi, that's from Idoma, they wait. But any captain can just walk in and go to the MA's office, and 5 minutes or 10 minutes is finished what is done and gone out. Because I was close to, since I was a staff of Babangida or Abacha, I saw this closely. And I wondered why. Later I realized that, yes, indeed, some officers were more privileged. And again, I was favored. So I was favored because they always say, those of us from Crossverse, that they married our wives. General Wushishi, for example, was married from, the wife was AIG Wushishi Abang from my place.
Oh, okay.
General Vasa, for example, was married to an Efik lady.
Oh,
so there was that thing that
from the cross
intermarriage. So they kind of favored us, and but I didn't like how other people were put
from
down.
other ethnic groups.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, particularly the Igbos. You could see it,
They were really kind of
they
marginalized.
They were always how do I put it? It's always a convenient way of not giving them the appointment that matter. I was lucky. Because of my skills and the way Babangida liked me, I was in the right place. But I could see that some people were
overlooked or passed over.
Yes, overlooked. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, now you've gotten to this conversation.
Sorry, and let me add the other part that made me as close to I was to the Babangida. I saw the deliberate divisions of parts of Nigeria. For example, the issue of Alaafin and Oni was at times deliberate.
Alaafin of Oyo,
yes,
Oni of Ife.
There were at times there was a deliberate interference so that rift would be.
I mean, are you trying to say that there were interference to make sure that the rift continued?
Indeed.
Or heated up?
Indeed.
From the top leadership of the country?
From the top leadership. So is Warri and Ishekiri. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Warri and Ishekiri. I mean, I grew up in Warri, so I know about the Gbege thing.
But you see, people don't realize that at times I mean, I'll tell you, what's his name now? The governor is from Ogun State, military. Is from the other part of Ogun State. Olu, it was regular 3, the same mate of David Mark. Now, I was present during an Chief of Army Staff conference in the NIA, and I was standing by Babangida and the governor from Ogun, who was the governor of Oyo then. He was the one who was later became Obasanjo. He became administrator of Ekiti. When there was a state that had a military government, just like
okay.
I think it's Ekiti or Ondo. Just like Olu. The name.
Was it your state or Ogun State? Which
No. He was military administrator of Ekiti or Ondo.
Okay.
when they had a problem. But the colonel was then the governor, administrator of Oyo then. Now, so he came. He was briefing.
There's
Babangida.
Mohammed Inua, there's Atanda Yusuf, there's Tunji Oluri.
Tunji Oluri is a mate regular 3, a mate to Colonel David Mark or General David Mark or whatever. Now, he was briefing Babangida and Abacha.
And you could hear?
I could hear. It was like a willing tool to be used. So that I saw. So when one saw all that,
he was briefing them about the Alafin Oni.
He was briefing them about the what was brewing and how he was kind of. They were happy to hear the briefing about how the divisions are, and that I just observed. It was now confirming the warnings had been given. So the point, in effect, I'm saying there was a way of everything was always in favor of
a certain part.
I wouldn't say a certain part. I would say a certain ethnic group more than anything. Like I've said earlier, the officers from those areas were given privilege in the military.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, let's fast forward to the peak of your stay in the military.
Sure.
All right, because you've grown to the ranks from NDA to engineering corps. You've gone to Jaji,
Sure.
worked in Jaji. Now you're at the military headquarters.
Sure.
Was it at this point in military headquarters that you were approached to participate in the changing of the restructuring of the country?
Right. Like I said, I was always the secretary to the Army conference, the Army Chief of Staff conference, and so a number of officers from the south or Middle Belt had problems, they always come to me, and at times I help, because I must say, General Babangida always did what I want. Always
he favored you, kind of obliged.
Indeed. In fact, I was privileged, and one of the officers, he gave presidential commendation.
Wow.
And signed it himself and sent his ADC, unfortunately, who died during the action, a close friend of mine, Colonel UK Bello, to bring to me in person. That's how close. And even when he was president, I was still writing papers and sent to him. And it's on basis of that he gave me this commendation. Now, so
when that period he recommended you for Army headquarters, he was not president.
No, he was what they call, he was in charge of policy and plans, called Director of SD and Plans.
Oh.
That was, he was the most strategic office in the military headquarters. You see, a lot of people didn't know. People thought QMG, where they give contracts, contract to build barracks but the office Babangida had was the office where we acquired the hardwares, the military hardwares. That's where you meet the likes of Mike Adenuga. That's where you meet the likes of MQ. That's where you meet the likes of Kofi Williams.
They were all working, they were all contractors to the military at this point?
The difference I'm saying, if you are given a contract by the Quartermaster General's office, you have to go and buy the things yourself. Go and buy if you are asked to supply buckets, you go and buy and supply. But in the department I was, if you are just given a contract, all you need to do, you go to the vendors and they'll mobilize you 30% upfront. And then the vendors will just supply and you pay their money. And that's where the likes of MQ make millions. Mike Adenuga made his money. Kofi Williams, that is the Kujos. You see, the military contracts are the biggest place to make money. Arishokola, because once you are given a contract to you don't need to do anything. the suppliers there will give you. They'll give you.
They were the vendors who actually had the products.
Yes.
Okay, but you are the contractor.
Yeah.
You don't need to lift your finger.
That's it.
You just need to contact them, they
That's
deliver,
it.
and then
And moreover,
you pay them.
you see, it's not like if you are buying a military Land Rover or you're buying a civilian Land Rover, the price is well known. But the military one, anybody can determine the price because there's nobody who will check the price. If you get me, so people make a lot of money from there. So that was where Babangida was, and you know, I was saying earlier that they knew the best appointments to give each other. So this is where they played. So the other thing I saw was where you have a retired officer who was a great officer. He doesn't need to. If he's from some part of the country, he doesn't need to come anywhere. He will stay in Kurama Lodge, that is a hotel there, and phone his contract to be done, and then they will ask you to take the contract to go and give him in his house. Meanwhile, if the officer is from Edo or somewhere, he will come to the army quarters, he will crawl, and we'll give him what it doesn't mean much. So you see, I was seeing, wow. So the like of Auto Eze, that's why they made their money. You know, the likes of it's late now. In any case, the people who you see who became big made money from the military contracts. And then, so it gave them advantage over many people. So Mike Adenuga was a young friend. He made his key money from
military contracts.
That's what
now I see.
Eventually went to oil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I see. All right. Now, all these things, I've seen you. We've seen your journey.
Sure.
Passionate lover of Nigeria's unity, where everybody were hobnobbing together, loving each other. You come back home, realizing that the very fabric has been destroyed. Some ethnic group is now head and shoulder taller than the rest.
True.
And then some persons have to beg to go by. All right. And then you have gone also further to study strategy.
Sure.
You've seen politics, and then you're not seeing, our country can be better than this. All right. I want to discuss something very critical,
Sure.
right? That you're involved in. It is popularly referred to the Coup,
Sure.
the Gideon Coup.
Sure.
You were named as the most senior military officer in that particular action.
Sure.
So I would like you to take us through the journey. At what point were you involved, or was it your idea, really? All right, or how did you get involved in it?
No, the whole idea was Major Salba Mukoro.
Major Salba
Mukoro.
Mukoro. It was not Poka's idea.
Just a minute. It was Salba Mukoro. Salba Mukoro had just come back after his PhD studies in the US. Came back, he saw how bad things were. And then we had a common friend, or I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't want to mention the friend. He tried to make moves to reach us, but by us I mean there were officers from the south who were not happy with what things were going, and I was one of them. The late Major Aguiyi was one. Bamidele, who was shot in the Basa Coup, was one. And because Aguiyi had been involved, he's been used, he was a very great guy in tech then, before tech came in from signals. People don't know that the Signal Corps of Nigerian Army were the first to start what's tech now. So Aguiyi was a young, brilliant chap. So anytime there was a coup, by like the Babangida coup, he went to set up the network, the security, the communication network. But then after the coup, he now realized that all we've done for, it's not like ruling coup. It's a coup to serve an ethnic group. So we were all concerned. So when there was this issue, Salibak Mukoro came and said to people that, look, how can this be carry on? Now, remember, Saliba and I come from Niger Delta. Now, the Jaw officers, young officers, are very bitter. And I think the Jaws deserve to be still bitter, Niger Deltans. Everything from our region, nothing back.
Yeah.
So the Jaw officers started meeting. And Saliba was their leader. They met. I think they met 7 months. So in February.
What year?
1990.
Okay.
They now sent a mate of mine, Colonel Patrick Forteta, who was also discussing with them, to come and talk, because I think they had seen the way I do things and they wanted me to be part of them. So they came and Forteta said to me, I need you to come and meet some young officers who are not happy, and maybe you can do something and tell Oga, that is General Babangida. So when I went to the meeting, to my surprise, it was young officers who had been meeting for almost months, planning an action. I was so shocked. And then, but when I saw the young officers, they were such great guys and so concerned about Nigeria. I had a choice, either to go and report them, because what in the military, if you hear anything, you report, or you join. And I think
there's a choice you have to make.
And I think, to use the word, that from the point of view of good conscience, I couldn't go and report them. So I found myself and joined. And then when I then joined, I didn't like some of the moves they wanted to make. Like they wanted the country cut off from Yaba, the bridges, Yaba bridge and the Benue bridges.
Like everyone from Niger, Benue, that whole river line.
Yeah, river line.
Up.
Demolish the 2 bridges so that and then
that whole line should be a country of their own.
Yeah, and then we succeed.
Okay.
So I thought that wasn't wise, because first we will endanger our people who are up north. Secondly, I told them that I cannot succeed from my own country.
because
I'm a Nigerian. In other words, now it is those people who are foreigners who have come to take over that should succeed. So they say no. So in the argument, actually the word excision you may see in the Oka speech. So I use the word
excision.
Excise.
Okay.
Excise those elements who have taken over our country as it were. And so that's how the word, and that is how, so from there, the whole thinking is that the Nigerian state we found ourselves is neo-colonialism, oligarchy, and fraud engendering from the beginning.
You're saying from 1914 or 1960, it has been new colonialism.
Yes.
Fraud
engendering. Why do I say fraud engendering?
Yeah.
A British man said it. The election that was conducted is in 1959 or so. Swan Smith. It was a fraudulent election.
The British organized a fraudulent election.
Yes. The name is Smith. Maybe later I'll send you, this interview where he said it. Now, so
What did he say? That,
you see,
the election was not real, the results were written?
Elections were always rigged, planned, rigged. And they've hardly been any free and fair elections in Nigeria. The only attempt close to it was the MQ.
The Humphrey Nwosu's 1993 election.
That is the one I think
was only free and fair election.
Where, yes. But most of the other ones have always been tampered with. And up till now, election, I find that can hardly be free and fair. I'm not blaming the president because he made the system. A system whereby, where in the world would you say the INEC chairman is independent and is appointed
by the
president? Are we so daft? And then secondly, where in the world do you have a centralized INEC? Then, how is it? Elections are conducted by the people, not by government. I hope you mark that word.
By the people, not the government.
If you go and check in other countries, no government conducts election. In the UK, for example, the electoral commissions are all local government based. The local commission that conducts has no government interference. Because it's the people who say, this is our say. But where you have a situation where the government appoints the INEC chairman, appoints all the commissioners, and you say
and the judges,
and you say it's independent. So you see, the point I'm making is that we don't want to face the truth. It's not the fault of this president because he met it.
Like he can change the system.
Pardon?
He can change the system.
If he's allowed to.
If he's allowed to.
If he's allowed
he's
to.
He's the president.
Now, if you come in through a system that you came in, and you owe many IOUs, it takes time to change the system.
Okay.
It's not as easy as it sounds. Because people may think it's as easy. Before you get into office, just like now, people are making deals to make sure that
ahead of 2020
changes. I want to win these people. I have to do. They'll say, look, you have to do this and do that. Those deals, like this president made, but it takes time. And if you try to change fast, they say you betrayed us. So it's not as easy as it sounds.
All right, now back to the 1919 coup.
Sure.
All right. So the organizers, the planners, now wanted to secede from Nigeria across the River Niger, River Benue lines, horizontal line, north to your tent, south to your tent.
Sure.
But you advise them, no, I cannot secede from my own country.
I cannot secede from my country.
Okay, then instead we can exercise.
I can exercise those areas based on certain conditions.
Okay.
And that's why there were conditionalities.
Okay.
Now,
there were conditionalities?
Yes.
What was the conditionality?
The conditions, one was that the right sultan should be brought back to the office. There was Babangida and Abacha removed and appointed a sultan who the kingmakers did not appoint. Ibrahim Dasuki was one appointed, but the father, the uncle of the present sultan was one who wanted restored back. That was, you see, the whole thing was that government was interfering in traditional relationship to the extent that the only area that we could go for values we're losing. Like I said earlier, how the interference in Oyo and Ife, the interference in parts of
Urubu and Ishekiri,
to ensure that when these people are fighting each other, we get on doing what we're doing.
Yeah. All right, now, at what point now did Gideon become the head of the coup?
No, Gideon was never the head of the coup.
Oh, but it's known today as Oka Coup.
Yes, because Gideon was just like, if you look at Babangida's coup, sorry, the coup Babangida did against Shagari. It was actually Babangida.
It was the coup against Shagari was
Babangida and Ibrahim Bako.
Really?
They were the main.
The coup that removed Alhaji Shehu Shagari as president of Nigeria was planned by Ibrahim Babangida.
Brigadier Ibrahim Bako and Babangida. Now, but they wanted to give it because at that time Buhari had a name he had a good name. Now, and Buhari was a Fulani, so they needed a Fulani as the face. So Buhari was not part of that plan. He was brought in much later. How do I know? I was in a battalion commander's course in Jaji. I was commanding a battalion. I went to there I saw the recruitment. Ibrahim Bako and the Babangida came to speak to us and was talking. And then they weren't direct, but you could see that something was in the offing.
They were recruiting.
They were filling out and picking out people. Now, when I went back to my unit, which is, I was commanding a unit under Buhari was my GOC. Then, during one day, we're having our weekly meeting with Buhari. Babangida came and invited Buhari out. And during the discussion, I went out, and one of the officers that came with him hinted me that that thing we're discussing is what they came to talk to Buhari. So Buhari, the main coup against Shagari was noted. Brigadier Ibrahim Bako and Babangida were the main coup. Now, Buhari was brought in later. And when he wasn't doing their bid,
they now removed him. Oh, that was when they now removed him from power. And
yeah, it's just like what happened to Gowon. Gowon was not part of the coup. That the coup that responded to 1966.
Yes,
it was Murtala who was the.
I learned that in a chat with Chief Philip Asiodu.
Yes,
who was a super permanent secretary at the time.
No, Murtala was one. Murtala was the hothead.
Yeah,
he was one. Now, but because Babangida was a man they could put at first, because he was a respectable man. And I think, by the way, General Yakubu Gowon remains one of the most, will I say, the most patriotic Nigerian and a man of integrity.
Of course, I'm just learning that.
Oh no,
because of these conversations.
He is. So,
I have just seen.
So he was used. He was used. This is always the case. There is this ethnic group. They always use people when it's convenient. They will use you. Then when you are not, if you want to be independent, they remove you. That's what happened to Gowon.
That's what also happened to Buhari.
No, Buhari's case was he went too far.
Okay.
And of course, he demystified himself. The man who was supposed to be the clean man was saying that deaths were happening under his watch. So, that's so.
Okay, so now you are going to explain how Gideon Oka emerged like the face, since he's not the leader.
Right. The speech was written long before even I came in.
The speech had been
written. I came in and I corrected, like I said, instead of succeeding, I said a size. And we were still debating because I wanted us to talk through so that we can, you see, I wanted that some of the things we had in the state, they weren't things to be declared. We were supposed to think that we can do
should have been policies or decrees after.
But you see, these young officers were so concerned that that's the word.
Their blood was hot.
Hot indeed. And they said these are one of the allegations to me, that Ojukwu and Awu had a meeting. And they had an agreement. When it came to it, Ojukwu was left alone. So that we must all sign. Anybody that will not, that everything we do, we have to be open. I said, no, we don't have to declare these things. It can be our intention, but not to declare them openly. They said, no, we have to. And when
I think, from hindsight, I actually think it was the declaration of it from day one that was the bane of the coup. Because he had succeeded before Abacha mobilized against.
No, even the officers, soldiers, and when in the Doran barracks, when they came to, well done, they joined us. They left Babangida and they joined us in the coup. It was when they were hearing their states
being cut off.
They became confused. They left. They deserted
Okay.
No. They deserted Babangida and joined us.
And I am now interested in what happened on the D-Day. It was April.
April 22.
April 26, 1990.
Now, we had people who had to do their job, entered in, the likes of Uchendu, a great guy. He's in the US now doing very well.
Oh.
Uchendu was a young officer lieutenant. He was officers in the presidential security at and Saliba reached him, you won't believe it, just not long, a few days before the action. And so the plan was he would destabilize the security. And how would he do it? He would remove all the pins from the MBT, the main battle tank.
Okay.
And the light battle tanks. Now, not only that, he will start the coup by first firing one of the tanks gun through the hostel where the soldiers sleep. You see, if you have a hostel, people are lying and you fire a gun.
It will pass through.
They pass through and the shock will destabilize the soldier for hours. So he did that. So at that moment, Babangida was demobilized. And so that's what started the coup.
That was how it started.
Yeah.
And then when people knew that there was a coup, they started joining the coup plotter system.
Merely that happened when those soldiers woke up and realized that
it was a coup.
They joined us. I was in Dodan Barracks. I was in FRCN.
You were in Dodan Barracks that day?
Yeah.
FRCN was where the broadcast was made.
That was going. Yeah, FRCN and Dodan Barracks is not close by, if you know.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So the soldiers now joined us and started the action. Joined us en masse until about 5 o'clock. They started getting that. This
Gideon went ahead and made the broadcast.
No. See, it's not Gideon.
Who made the broadcast?
This broadcast had been taped.
Oh.
Taped.
Somebody wasn't there reading fellow Nigerians.
No, it was taped. It was taped. Then Gideon read it and they taped it. And it was already, so the Emmanuel Computer, that is the officer who was in the FRCN. Now,
Emmanuel who?
He came out, I've forgotten this, I find it difficult to pronounce his surname.
Okay.
He's an Orobo chap. So, no, Isoko Orobo. Now, he took charge, he disarmed people in the FRCN. And then he gave the
broadcasters, the program officers,
he gave the broadcasters to put it on, yeah. So, Oka was in the Bonicam.
Bonicam on the island.
Bonicam in the island. It was not in Donan Barracks or in the FRCN. So it was a broadcast, taped.
Oh,
yeah.
So now, as people listen to it,
yes,
they were already supporting the coup.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then in the course of it, they could now hear that.
Yes.
Oh, I'm being excised from Nigeria.
Indeed.
Why am I doing this?
In fact,
so they turned against the coupists?
The Hausas were shocked.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You guys didn't take that into cognizance that
the
Hausas.
The Hausas came, they all supported, but when they heard that state, they were all discouraged. We could see it.
No, you didn't think about it, that there were Jokuns, there were Hausas, there were other people.
You see, no, the issue
there were
was,
Kanuris.
I told you that earlier. I didn't want what has been written in the speech, that we should remove all that. But when they insisted that I had to give them the word excise as a temporary measure while I educate them on the need of not going that way. Myself and Forteta were the people that shouldn't go because we were the most senior. But then they insisted. When they insisted, we were still discussing it. The coup then leaked.
Oh, the April 22nd
was not the date.
1990 was not the date.
No, it was not. It leaked. And I've said it openly. The irony of it is that I say it and I stand to. It's Colonel Forteta, Patrick, who leaked it.
He didn't want to carry on with things.
I'll answer it this way. We had planned a unit, which was going to be the unit for the action. Nigeria never had, before I was one of the people who were told, and Babangida, let it work. Nigeria, before our time, had only what they call foot infantry soldiers. They're going operations, the best they can do, they enter Land Rover and go. I came up from my training in the UK and my strategic studies, with what you now see as armored corps.
Okay.
Mechanized
division.
It was because now, so at the same time, I came up with the idea of an airborne battalion. In other words, once there's a crisis, they can land in an action in the middle.
There'll be a drop in the
Indeed. They're using C-130 carrying troops and everything. So I used to, my job was to come up with this strategy and plan. So in doing so, I also ensured that, and they always gave me the chance to pick out who will command the unit. So because of our coup plan, I managed to make sure that Colonel Forteta goes to command that battalion. That was the Pioneer Battalion, based in Makurdi. Makurdi has an Air Force base that has a C-130.
Yes.
So together they can always... So the idea was, with the C-130 which I used, the airborne battalion was what we were going to use to take over Lagos. So he was to command the troops and bring the troops in. But then, when he was posted to the unit, our mate was the administrator
of
Benue
State at the time.
Yeah, it was Colonel Maka, Fidelix Maka. So when he came there, now he gave him a good accommodation in where you have the presidential, way.
Very good.
So he gave the new commander a good place. By the side was the state director of SSS.
Okay.
She was also given a house. I think they started having affairs.
Okay.
And
I can feel it, the guts.
And I think that's where the coup leaked.
Oh.
Now, that was not the what made me know that they leaked was we had a way of meeting. When we met, we have code words and the way. Suddenly, I used to live by the defense house. Close to Ikoyi, Abacha. My house was next to Abacha's. Now, my house was next to Abacha. Abacha said this was next. minor. So Forteta was staying in Cameroon Road, number 9, I think, or Cameroon Road. So Forteta came from Makurdi, and without any notice, just came to my house, rang the bell, and then he came in with a gentleman and said, this matter, because then we're debating about this issue of not to cut off. Two of us were telling the officers that it doesn't make sense, Forteta and I. So Forteta and I said he has brought in an expert who will now educate the officers. The implication is that he's an expert, a political scientist, and so on. And I was shocked because how could?
What did you tell the experts?
No, I was at my door because I had 2 friends in the room, I was at my door. I went and said, so immediately, somehow God told him, Forteta, I have guests now. We can't discuss this matter since I'll come to you in your house. So he went to his house. Then I dismissed the guests I had. Incidentally, one is a son now, Paul Erukuru. His son, he was in my house. I helped him to be the commissioner in Crossover when Atta, my mate, was in. So he was in my house. And eventually I come to it. He was also, I think, inviting a question because it was one of the people in my house.
The day
this.
So
Yeah.
that person must have been an SSS guy.
I'm coming to it. So immediately I feigned up. I told Forteta that I've come to see him. There was no phone then, as easy as it is now. I ran up to Saliba in Ikeja. When I went to Saliba said he was also going to come to me. That Forteta came here with the lady. But the lady, because there's a place you normally will park before you go to Saliba's house. That was the plan. That when he was in Saliba, when he was in Forteta off, he saw that Saliba came with the lady. So immediately we got wind that it has leaked. So we had to do a contingent plan. And in fact, I would say in less than 4 days, we did a plan and struck. That was why the officers we used were only 11 officers who were around Lagos who could connect. And then we had to resort to using civilians. We had to get someone to go to Benin and actually get armed robbers.
Armed robbers?
Yes.
In a coup. Please, another side of it.
And then,
armed robbers.
And then, the remarkable thing about it, they were the most courageous on the night of the action. I'll tell you why. Now,
it's like a blockbuster Hollywood movie.
Then we had a guy, a Bini guy who said, look, I'll get people. We went, then we got ex-servicemen.
Retired
men. Now, but during the night of the coup, to show you that you laughed earlier, the night of the coup, those who were the most successful in their actions were the armed robbers. Because it's what we use to get through to FRC and the numbers. When they got there, in fact, I'll tell you incidents. When we were sharing uniforms at the base, where we were sharing uniforms to those who operate, the armed robbers said, okay, I'm gonna give me uniform I wear now. Give me uniform I wear now. No, give me. The soldiers were the ones. But those who chose soldiers like Henry Oburu, who chose soldiers. For example, the ones who went to go and capture Abacha, the officer was in his car in the front, and soldiers were at the back. And then when they got to the guest house, Abacha, when they looked, soldiers have jumped and run away. The soldiers were not part of the coup. What happened was Saliba organized a party and invited soldiers. If you remember, invited soldiers, and then Soldiers came there and then they took them. Then they got the son that it's a coup. So but the armed robbers that were also brought disguised, not told that was a coup. Immediately they realized it's a coup. They say, "Oga, I thank you. At least when I give us respect, shall take part in our country." No, this is the irony.
They wanted to be part of the action.
No, they said we gave them respect as armed robbers with their background. We brought them to come and do the action. So they were more. That's why FRCN what got. They contributed to getting
Dodam
Barras with the help of Uchendu inside. They were very courageous. Immediately they got to FRCN, the first thing they did was the armed robbers jumped the fence, grabbed soldiers, and then asked soldiers to remove their uniform. Then they started wearing their uniform. And soldiers were naked.
Oh, so they got their uniform by themselves.
Yes, and then soldiers were naked on, to show you how. This is why, you see, one should not underestimate civilians. It is the mind, not the look of a person. But so,
what would have become of this had the coup succeeded? What would have been the reward of these armed robbers? What would they have? What would have become of them?
They would be educated, given opportunities. Look, if you look at Fidel Castro, in his action, he took people who were drug addicts, people who were prostitutes into the military, and they became the most loyal people. You remember when America tried to even kill Castro? They couldn't penetrate. So, you see, once you take a poor person and you give him his dignity, of course, he would ever cherish that.
You could have maybe re-educated them and integrated them in the military.
Yes.
So who would have become the head of state after?
Saliba Mukoro.
Oh, okay.
It was his initiative, and we had no doubt about that.
Okay. I still don't understand why it was confused as Oka coup all along.
Yeah, because Oka, see, if you look at the coup, one of the coups, I think Dogoyaro gave the first speech, isn't it? The coup,
which of the coups?
I think Babangida, the one against Buhari.
Oh.
The one against Buhari. The first person to speak was, I think,
it was Dogoyaro. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, there's also been some civilian named among them, prominent politicians like Great Oboru. What's like his involvement?
What's like
Great Oboru? I hear rumors of his involvement. Was he really involved?
I think it's something that you may need to ask him.
Ask him myself. I'll do right.
Yes.
I'll do that.
But I think he's a great patriot. He's a great patriot, and a young man, a very rich man at the age of 26, and was a great.
What was the average age of those involved at that time?
I was the oldest. I was they'll be around, average it will be 28.
28. You were the eldest?
Yes, I was the eldest.
Okay. Now I get it.
Yeah, I was the eldest.
Now let's fast forward,
Sure.
Okay? Somehow you got away.
Sure.
How?
Two things. I think I said earlier that I'm the blessing of God, and I never, right from childhood, on that night, on the coup day, when the soldiers, you remember, 5 o'clock, I got the sign that this thing may not succeed. And then they mobilized the main battle tank from Ikija cantonment to come to. We were in control till about 1 o'clock.
1 p.m. or 1 a.m.?
1 p.m.
Okay.
We started in the night. We were controlled till about 1 p.m. Then when the main battle tank started firing, we had only light. The best we had was a light battle tank. And then Scorpion and Panhard. They came with the TK-44, the Russian tank. So when they were firing at us, The soldiers.
It was like a battlefield then.
Oh yes.
Like tanks.
Oh sure. The soldiers who were said, "Oga, there's no way." We had light battle tank. They had main battle tank.
There's no way you could defeat them.
Yeah.
It was led by Abacha. This country.
That is all. You see, the chap who did this thing was, the irony of it is, this will always come to claim fame.
Victory.
It was led by a chap from Zidane. A chap from, usually, it's always these middle belt people that always do things, and then other people claim. Zidane.
So it wasn't Abacha.
No, I'm coming. What happened was, Abacha first was in the guest house. I told you they were going to get him, but
yes,
the guy got there.
And the other guys
he found himself alone. So Abacha was taken somewhere. Was maybe somehow his son or whatever took him. Now, the people who saved the day were Colonel Zidane. Zidane was brigade battalion commander.
Ikeja cantonment?
No. In Bonicamp. Yeah. He mobilized, and one Colonel Mohammed Ahmed, who was the DMI. They were the courageous people who, and in any case, they could only respond during the day when they realized that we were not many. The night gave us cover. They didn't realize how strong we were. When they realized that we weren't as many as they thought, that's how they came. And so when they came and started firing, and we knew that we'd done the best we can, and asked the soldiers to start escaping. So the soldiers left. We allowed them to escape, and Saliba and I, how do I put it?
You also left?
No, we were the last. Major Saliba, because Saliba came to join me.
Okay.
Yes, came to join me in
Lembara.
Yeah. So Saliba and I after we allowed all the people to go, then we now, how do I put it? And I don't want to say that now. We found our way out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Saliba is still alive, or he was?
He's still alive.
Saliba is alive.
He's a professor in the US. In fact, he's even not a retired professor now.
Saliba is alive.
Yeah, he's a professor in criminology. He came back to Nigeria. He stayed for a while.
Oh.
Yes. He came back alive.
All right. Yeah. Okay, now, you found yourself in the UK.
Yeah.
I want to understand. Is it also true that the UK gave you protection?
Oh, yes.
When you're in the UK? Why would they do that?
Why would they do that? My first wife is British.
Oh.
So when the coup happened, she went to launch a complaint that my life is at stake when she realized. So the British started monitoring, as and then when I got into the UK, because meanwhile, I had got Chevenix scholarship to go to Cambridge.
Okay.
To do, and then I went to the British Council in London to go and report. Then when they saw me, and then you see the British Council, if you know, is part of how do I put it? It's part of much more than it is.
So like a KGB's relationship kind of thing.
Yeah. So they now told me that because of what has happened, I cannot go on that course. And then eventually they now try to, the equivalent of the NIA here, try to reach me.
Is that what they call MI6?
Yes, they tried to reach me. Eventually they reached me and then told me that if I need their help, so they started giving me protection.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Now, fast forward, you still held the same ideas, the same vision. Nigeria should be equitable. The constitution needs to be redone. You still hold 1963 constitution as the best thus far.
Sure.
What have you? I mean, what are you doing now to see promote the same ideas? Now you're out of the military.
I took part. The likes of Chief Ike Clark was a great man. And of course, Chief Emeka Anyoku has been our, he's always said it clearly, more than anybody else, articulated the way forward. Olufale, these are brains who have made this clear. Now, Chief Ike Clark, they made this clear. Ayo Adebanjo, they made this clear. Now, we've pushed and pushed and pushed. But I begin to realize that even if you have political, economic restructuring, if the military underlying national security architecture is not correspondingly restructured, anyone can come in and push away whatever you do. The best example, Ethiopia has one of the best federal constitutions. Ethiopia, which was written by Professor Mwabwezi. Yes, it was a great, constitutional. Now,
is it Ethiopia or Kenya?
Ethiopia.
Okay.
Ethiopia. Professor Mwabwezi, they taught one of the best constitution, whereby there's even a clause that you can succeed if part of the unit feels you don't need to conduct plebiscite, and if they say they want to, they can succeed. But recently, when a unit tried, they refused them. What am I saying? Because that constitution was not accompanied by a corresponding national security structure. Now, so what am I saying? My pain is that until you restructure the military architecture of Nigeria, anything built can be swept aside by anybody. And more so now that the military national security architecture we have now was favored one part of the country more than the rest in terms of military locations.
Now.
Oh yes. Kaduna.
I thought
Kaduna.
Obasanjo decentralized this.
No, he didn't decentralize. In terms of the military hardware are much more in Kaduna area than anywhere in the country. Now, in the Air Force, Kanu and Makodi are still the heaviest. So that's that. That is in terms of locations. In terms of manpower and positions and mindsets, some areas are still disadvantaged. So, what am I saying? I'm saying that the armed forces as it is now, is in a compromised position.
Was this captured in your book? You wrote 2 books.
Yes.
Okay.
It's captured in the second book, the book on the appropriate national security architecture for Nigeria.
For Nigeria.
Yes.
So in that book, you defined what should be our security architecture.
Yes.
Now, is that security architecture designed based on this current unitary federal kind of government, or you were recommending it based on the hope that Nigeria becomes a true federation?
It was on the hope Nigeria becomes a true federation, and it was based on what countries that are really democratic and not colonized are being. How do I mean? Take an example like UK. Each of the military regiments started as ethnic regiments. Did you get that point? You heard Obasanjo just talking about Welsh guard in your interview. Obasanjo just talking about Welsh. Welsh.
Yes.
Welsh is like Igbo.
Oh, they are not ethnic nationality.
Yes, yes. There are 4 major ethnic nationalities in the UK: the English, the Scottish, the Welsh, and the Irish. I served with the Scottish Command. In the Scottish Command, you have to be a Scottish person to be an officer in there. Most of the troops there are from Scotland. If you take a regiment like called the Highlanders in the up north of Scotland, the people are from that area. You know, so is Welsh, so is the Irish. You cannot be an Englishman and go
to Scotland
and go to Scotland or go to, except you've lived there and you've been assimilated as an Irish person there. That's how the British Army is. The English regiments are there. That's how. Now, the similar thing you find in India. In India, there's a federal army, but there are ethnic regiments. Google it, Sikh regiment. Some of the best regiments are all ethnic.
In the case of Nigeria, though, is there no fear or possibility of, okay, let's say, for example, you've got an Efik regiment, a Yoruba regiment, a Bibio regiment, and then a Nupe regiment. No fear of a Nupe regiment marching on Aso Rock one day?
First of all, you have to look at the merits and demerits, which outweighs the other. The merits of having an Orobo regiment, for example, where you come from, I guess.
Amika.
Oh, sorry.
We're all the same
all
states,
right.
yeah?
Let me use an example. And as if you have...
No, maybe Ika regiment.
No, yeah. If you have an Ika regiment, who can better defend can better defend Ika than Ika regiment?
Ika land, like someone marching on Agbo, for example.
Yeah. My wife is from Agbo, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. No. Who will better defend? Who will better defend Ika regiment than an Agbo who has a stake in it? So you see, most regiments in UK, their home base are ethnic. But when they go to...
Which is same with us in Nigeria.
Pardon?
Our home base is ethnic.
Yeah, no, but then that's why, what am I saying in my, the appropriate structure is that we'll keep the existing conventional armed forces as they are. We need to build up a people's army. In other words, an army that is loyal to its people. So that, for example, if you have, let's say in Lagos here, you have the state police, which of course, the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps.
Neighborhood Safety Corps, yes.
I think they are waiting to be the police because they are well organized. And I wish other states have them already. They've trained, the Lagos State Neighborhood. The word neighborhood is in key there. In other words, they know the area, they can police it better. But they now need, that is state police. But they need equivalent to the American National Guard. See, in the U.S.
Okay, so I don't understand how the National Guard operates. If you
Yeah,
explain
good. National Guard of the U.S. You see, the word National Guard. In Nigeria, we have one way of looking at national. Let's say someone is a nationalist. A nationalist is not a pan of a country. You see, here, Irish nationalists, Scottish nationalists. It's
okay,
the
Yoruba nationalist.
That's it. It's always attached to the ethnic nationality. It's not attached to a human construct nation state. The word nationality. In Nigeria, we misuse the word. You hear, oh, he was a nationalist. No. Awo was a nationalist. He's a Yoruba nationalist.
Yeah.
No.
I Adobenjo for one. I think I respect him a lot.
True.
Afenifere. Ayo.
Yes, Ayo Demanjo, yeah.
It was called Yoruba nationalist.
That's it. That's what it is. But so the way the National Guard is in the US started from militias, indigenous to the states, defending themselves, against the British. I hope you know.
I didn't know that.
No. The British were the colonial power.
Yes,
so
I know that.
They rebelled and said they want to have their own freedom. Just like we need to rebel against the colonial power that is holding Nigeria.
Yes, I still agree that Nigeria is still operating a colonial system.
Good. Good. Now, but the Americans fought against the British colonial power. We need to fight. And that's my architecture is that, look, if you have a militia group like OPC is like the military of Yoruba states. Lagos National is state police. Now, tell me, who can better defend Oyo than
maybe an elevated OPC troop?
No, who can better defend than the troops you have there who are in Oyo now have sympathies with some of the bandits because they are their relations. There's no... You see, and one thing Nigerians don't realize, why the bandits get away with many things, many of our soldiers or officers own the cows that the Fulani man is carrying about. So, in a way, they're indirectly protecting their business.
I don't get that.
I'll tell you an example. I had a friend, a Fulani friend, who had lived a long time in my part of the country, Ogoja, Cross River. He was killed by some people from my area because of this fighting against the Fulanis. So I went and I was shocked. I said, why would you kill a man who had been with us?
Lived with us.
Lived with us a while. And then eventually I got to know that they called me that, by the way, the people who attacked and killed, that the arms they got from the Fulanis were arms from the military barracks in Ogoja.
Wow.
Now, how did they know? A military arm has marks. So the people held. The commanding officer then went back and started playing that they should give them back the arms.
Return it.
Return it.
Did they return it?
I don't know how they were settled. But I intervened. So it was as I was supporting the Fulani man, then people started pointing to me. This man you are supporting, did you know that they attacked us? Then we captured some of them with they had military arms. That this is the problem. I even made an interview of this in channels then to see what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to say is that there's too much corruption. I said Nigeria is neo-colonialism, oligarchic, and fraud engendering nation state. The corruption is going so deep that the existing army, except you clean those three things, and it's very hard to clean because some people have been in power for so long, they want to continue to be in power, and they've used this same army to get out that power.
They keep themselves.
The whole army is built on that. Secondly, some rich guys now who are now become their friends. So, and of course, corruption. So the issue I'm saying that you need to create new military formations that are home-based, that are loyal to their people. Because if an OPC formation or Ameteku formation in Ondo, Ameteku will be more loyal in the defense of Ondo than a unit you bring from somewhere and dump there.
I agree with you.
That's it.
I agree with you.
So that is the structure. So I'm saying that it's a good thing the president has started the state police idea, but he should not think that will solve the problem. He needs to continue to have the equivalent of National Guard in each of the states.
Thank you very much. Now, it has been a rich travel through Nigerian history. Lots of things I never even knew about those countries that you have brought to light. Thank you for your service and your warnings. In one of your books, you had also warned Nigeria against a possible implosion unless we restructure now. All right. And you have explained how you hope that this restructuring will go into. And then you have also been at the forefront of pursuing a true people's constitution for Nigeria. You have continued actively in the building of this nation, even after your service in the military. I want to say thank you. Thank you for granting us this opportunity to understand the journey of this country from your own perspective and involvement. Till next time, I want to say a very big thank you to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks you for having why I like your series. An unsung hero participated, King Epitome Mbanigo. You see, if Mbanigo were a Yoruba man or a Fulani man, he would have been given his due place. Here was a man who changed banking Nigeria, and yet, Epitome Mbanigo is an unsung hero. And when I saw that you did a series of him, and then people know what you are doing, thank you.
Thank you so much. I was grateful.